if you're just joining us, my name is Hanifa, and I'm the Programs Coordinator and Community Manager at Ingressive for Good. And today is day one of Tech for Newbies, and the session is going to be focusing on having a very short 30-minute roadmap on how to start a career in the different tech fields that we've been able to list out. So this is the second session for today. And as usual, I'm going to be launching a poll. Kindly respond to it. And the question is, do you have an idea what backend development is? Which leads us to the second session is going to be about backend. And we have our honorable speaker who has joined us so early. Thank you so much, Kizito Akilome. Hi.
Yeah, hi Jim. I don't know why Hanifa said honorable. Yeah, I'm here. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, my name is Kizito Akilo, like Hanifa said, and I will be taking the session and like a brief session actually. So to be honest, tech, like there's not enough time to talk about tech. So 30 minutes is too short to talk about backend.
Yeah.
So yeah, to be honest. But generally, it's just going to be an intro to like what can be, what you can do, what like basically what is backend and what can you do as a backend engineer and the kind of impact you can make. So I'll be sharing my screen now to so just apologies in case you see me looking this way, it's because I have my other screen here. So this is my main screen. This is where I look at your beautiful faces. Although no faces are on currently, I don't know why. Having your faces would be awesome. So yeah, let me share my screen now and please confirm when you can see my screen.
Okay, great. Yes, we can. Awesome.
Awesome. So yeah, my session today is just going to be basically about the back end. But to be honest, like I'm going to touch on some things like about front end because I mean it's a whole pie. You can't like have one without having the other one. So first of all, like who am I? So basically, my name is Kizito, like Hanifa mentioned. I am a backend engineer, let me use that term. But more or less, like when you start in tech, you eventually you stop bearing titles at some point because at the end of the day, tech is to solve problems. So if the problem is on the front end and you can, go to the front end and solve the problem, pick up your like your hats and like go solve that problem on the front end so as well. So more on me, I am like I said, Kizito. Hi Kenny, I can see your this thing. So yeah, I'm Kizito. I am a software engineer. Like that's the title I go by. So in terms of tech, I have worked in companies like Flutterwave. That was my most recent stint. I'm still there at the moment as well as an API engineer there. Also Andela as well. I was a full stack engineer at Andela for quite a number of years. And prior to like going to tech per se fully, I was also like should I say content creator on the web. I did stuff like blogging, SEO, all those things, digital marketing and all that. Like that was how I got my teeth cut into tech generally as well. So spent like 4 years on that before moving into tech fully with Andela, then Flutterwave, then also worked with a startup based in London as well for like building out their APIs and yeah, fun experience so far. So moving on, let's talk about like, I mean, backend, why backend? So before talking about why backend, I would need to also still point out the fact that the whole tech ecosystem, or at least in terms of software engineering, it's a full pie. You can't have one without the other one. Backend is like just one bit, one like small part of the pie where we do things that other people would consume. Like the last speaker mentioned, like there are people that work on the whole full stack, and there are people that also work on just one bit, and other ones that work on the other bit. So backend is basically you could think of it as the bit which is responsible for making your front end work. So per what the last speaker talked about, like the front end. Yeah. So front end needs APIs. That's what we call them, APIs to work sometimes. So the backend engineer or the backend team or the backend environment, basically, it's basically where those tools and those things that are needed to make the front end work are like exposed. So I'm saying front end work, but like anything could be a front end if the front end like your mobile device could be a front end, the web app, a front end. I mean, your IoT devices, like, I mean, like your refrigerators as well, for those that have refrigerators that can like communicate over the internet, it's also a front end to an extent. So a backend engineer or an API engineer, sometimes, as we mentioned, is responsible for like exposing data from the backend, like from the databases. I'll talk about databases like in a bit, but basically it's the bit where like all the computation happens to get your data like live and stuff, so you can see them. So a good example I will use is Facebook. I think everybody's familiar with okay, no, let me know this Facebook. Facebook is for old people now. So Instagram. A good example is Instagram. So basically, Instagram, when you go to the Instagram website itself and like, you know, browse on that page and all those like interactions you have, say you're about to log in, you type in your details on the Instagram page, like your username is this, your password is this. When you click on login, while the screen is loading, that loading screen you see, something is happening on that page you are on at that moment in time. What happens is the front end takes that data you provided, that's the website you were on, it takes the data you provided, sends it back to the back end. Like, I mean, it's behind the front, so back end, that's a stupid joke. But yeah, basically that's what happens. Once I get the data, once the back end gets the data, like gets your username, it gets your password, it tries to verify, okay, you say you are like Hanifa, for example, as your username, and your password is XXXXX. Are you sure, do we have you as a user in our systems? So the backend API is responsible for things like this, verifying that, okay, your name is Hanifa, your username is Hanifa, then your password is this. Is that your correct password? Then things like, okay, you forgot your password, for example. You know your username, but you forgot your password. So you put in username, for example, and you want to recover your password. The backend as well is also the like system responsible for, because when you registered initially on Instagram, you had an email field, like you've specified your email or your phone number. So when you go and reset your password, for example, the backend is now the system that's responsible for like saying, okay, this user, her name is Hanifa, like as her username. So what did Hanifa register as initially? So your email was this, and we send you a generated code to verify that, okay, you is trying to change the password of this account. You actually have access to the account. So the backend actually is responsible for a lot of things, as well as the front end. Like there's no picking of sides in terms of who does much work. But the backend is responsible for things like making sure you get your emails correctly, making sure you, like when you click on follow, making sure the person you follow, you're actually following them. And I think backend is actually pretty broad too as well, because I was about to talk about like recommendation engines, for example. So say, for example, you are on Instagram again, as usual, and you see like recommended posts or recommended tools. A part of the backend is responsible for like making sure that, okay, these are the interests you have. These are the interests this other person has. Because you follow this person, this person follows you. We think, I'm using the word think like as an AI, we think you'll be interested in something like this. So it's not totally backend, but like knowing backend, you can actually delve into a field like that where you can start doing things such as like writing machine learning models to, you know, go ahead and do recommendations. So backend is broad, backend is interesting. There are a lot of challenges to solve, and it's always fun when you finish solving them. It's it's like getting high when you've like cracked a bug or finished a feature. That's how sweet it is. So getting into backend. On this, there's no one way to get into anything, like, to be honest. I was going to go ahead and like make these slides like very detailed and give more context as to this is what you can do, what you cannot do. But the best I can do is just give like a general overview of how you can get into like say a backend system, like getting into what's it called, knowing how to like work as a backend engineer or a software engineer who focuses on the backend. So one thing I subscribe to, and one thing I know for sure is that no one learning model works best for everybody. So people learn best by, maybe some people learn best by watching videos. Some people learn best by you know, like going through tutorials like on web pages. Some people are better at watching like people do something and also getting that like direct feedback that, okay, I've done this, you do this, and let's get this to work. So in terms of how you can get into backend, first thing I would say, and first thing that helped me out was like ensure that you have like a good interest in tech, like you have the right reasons for coming into tech. money is a very good reason as well, like not to dispute that fact. Trust me, if you can make money there and you can put your mind to it, you will make more on that later. But have a good reason for like coming into tech. Let that reason always be at the back of your mind when things get tough, and things will get tough. That's just the fact. In terms of learning and how to start up, like learning how to become a backend engineer, like where to start from, I have this resource, roadmap.sh, which basically gives an overview of, okay, this is, so I don't want to add this. I will share this with the community organizers as well, so we could actually like peruse it when you have more time. It's a lot, like backend is a lot, front end is a lot, everything is a lot. But these things that you're seeing here would begin to make sense as long as you take things like gradually. But this whole image we have here, for example, is at some of the tools and things you get to do and work with as a backend engineer. It's a lot, like I said before, but trust me, after spending a few months or a few years on this thing, some of these things, when you see them, you just know what you're looking at. So there's no point explaining everything that's on this, like, should I say, deck at the moment. But what I just need to point out is that, like, as a backend engineer, one of the first things you need to know how to do is to know exactly how, not like in detail, but you need to know how the internet works. Not necessarily, you don't need to understand, okay, why the like how routing numbers work and those things, but at least have a better understanding than like the layman about what happens when you go to www.instagram.com. Sorry. With that in mind, like if you watch, the first thing listed on this sheet, for example, is like understanding how the internet works. Like these are questions that you can ask yourself. What is DNS? What is HTTP? Like the question that Hanifa posed as well, like what is URL? What is www? Those are things that you will also learn as well when you get to start like going through like some of the resources which will be shared with you later. Then, like I said, it's a full pie. You can't have backend without having front end. So like you see here, one of the key things that was pointed out here is you need to have basic front-end knowledge. So even though you're going to be focusing on the back end, at some point you need to understand, okay, the front-end developer is sending me this. How do I respond to the front-end developer in a way that would make sense and make it easy for the developer to work appropriately? Let me look at the time. Okay, there's still some time. So yeah, in terms of resources to learn by, I would share more about this with the organizers as well. But some things I need to point out are tools like Free Code Camp. There's a tool called Free Code Camp, which is like an interactive kind of platform, which you can use basically to learn alongside what's it called, like the tutorials that will be given to you. Then people that are visual learners that learn by watching people, there are very good courses as well on Udemy, like awesome courses that will teach you how to become backend developers in like a short amount of time, as long as you're dedicated to watching that course and following through with what they say, and not like, you know, maybe watch today and not watch tomorrow. Then back to the slides, sorry. Back to the slides. So the impact you can make as a backend engineer, I honestly cannot say how much impact you can have being the one that builds tools for people to use, like being on the back end. So I'll give an example from my work life. Say, because like I said, I work at Flutterwave. I have built tools which have been used by, like, I cannot imagine the amount of people who have used our tools, because I mean, Flutterwave is like the should I say, the platform which other companies build upon. So the fact that I can build something, an API, expose an API on the documentation, for example, which say company X can use, for example, and company X goes ahead to like create products that help other people. And those people as well are calling companies X APIs. And at the end of the day, company X is like making that same request back to us on the back end on Flutterwave. It's crazy how much like impact you can make, just like, you know, knowing how to work. So one example again I would give is last year, pandemic. Yes, pandemic is still ongoing. I don't know. There's no face. Nobody's wearing face masks on the call. I don't know why. Like COVID-19 protocols. But last year during the pandemic, Flutterwave launched a product called Flutterwave Stores. That was like supposed to help people like keep the lights on. That was the like hashtag or the like tagline for all these things. So how I would try to like portray this now to like try to point out what exactly you can do as someone that can actually go in and build tools is the fact that we had a customer, I think this is on our blog, we had a customer or a new sign up who basically, before the pandemic or before the lockdown started last year, all he did was sell eggs, for example, via like a mortar store, like a brick and mortar store. He could basically, like you go to his store, buy eggs in crates and stuff like that. Now imagine this, a Lagos State government has said that, okay, as from next week, for people in Lagos, sorry, but the government has said as from next week, nobody should open their stores. And let me just say his name is Ibrahim. Ibrahim has gotten like should I say, shipment of eggs. And you know how eggs are, eggs don't stay long in the store. So it means that, and Ibrahim is like a small, it's not like Ibrahim is like a very big merchant or something like that. Ibrahim is just a small, like, somebody trying to make ends meet for him and his family, like, putting food on the table for him and his family. So Ibrahim just got the delivery for, like, say, 30 crates of egg, for example, that he plans to sell next week. But the government is saying next week, don't open your shops. If you open your shops, they will like arrest you. So I mean, basically what that would mean is Ibrahim would not only be able to like feed his family, he would also lose money because his capital that he used to purchase those like crates of eggs are gone. Like the eggs are going to get bad. Nobody will buy bad or rotten eggs from you in any way, shape, or form. But as a backend engineer, what Flutterwave did was to like expose a product on the web that you could just go there and list it that, okay, you have eggs for sale. Anybody, anywhere can reach out to you and like, I mean in Lagos actually, but anybody anywhere can reach out to you and tell you that, okay, I want to buy X crate of eggs. You want to buy Y crate of eggs. At the end of the day, Ibrahim ended up selling way more than the 30 he had in stock. Just because, I mean, you were the one that built the tool. I mean, you spent your nights and weekends building this tool and exposed it. But from just building that small tool, which may seem small to you, you actually fed Ibrahim's family, whether you like it or not. That's just the plain truth. That's how much impact you can make. Like maybe Ibrahim's family, for example, maybe they had like an issue, for example, or maybe his daughter or son was sick. This is an instance. I'm not saying anybody was sick, but like you get the point. Because you could build tools that enabled Ibrahim make those sales, you probably saved his daughter's life. This is now getting into the like philosophical sense of what impact you can make. But let's now come back to your own family. Like, I mean, it's Nigeria. At the end of the day, if you cannot provide for your family, nothing for you. You are more or less like you're consuming space. Sorry for like the harsh words. But I mean, in your family, like directly, because the tech ecosystem is really big and it's growing largely every single day and it's global. Having these tech skills as a backend engineer, a front engineer, any engineer you are, like having the tech skills, you can actually like be like, immune to like job losses. Because even if they're not hiring in Lagos, there's some people are hiring in like, Kaduna or outside of the country, or outside of the continent as well. So you can actually keep the lights on for your own family at the end of the day, because you are like a software engineer, a backend engineer, a front engineer, whichever one you find interesting. So on learning, like I said, it's not just about like going through the resources, because a lot will be shared with you. There's a lot of resources to learn online and both offline as well. For people that like, because at some point in my life, I also prefer downloading courses and videos and going offline to go watch them, because I mean, data is expensive, really expensive actually. So for the resources you will have like a ton of resources, and you may be confused as to which one to follow. The only thing I can say on this particular topic is stick to one, like just trust the process. Sure, the organizers will share like very good resources with you. Trust that the resources are very good. Don't fall into the whole fear of missing out trap where you think that, okay, I have this one that says Node.js, but this other one is there. So let me just watch small here and watch small. No, it's going to backfire. What you'd have learned in 2 weeks, you spend 2 years learning it. I'm not joking. Please be consistent as well. Consistency is very key. It's better you are spending 1 hour a day learning and building than to spend 6 hours one day and not touch it again for like a month. It's better to spend 1 hour a day every day learning, because I mean, it's like a snowball effect. It's the learning is exponential at the end of the day. If you spend 1 hour today learning this thing and understanding, okay, this is how HTTP works. This is how, when I click on this on my browser, this is what happens. And tomorrow you build upon that. It keeps growing gradually. That's how it's supposed to keep working. But if you are in the camp that, okay, because you have ginger or motivation, you just sat down today and finished the whole course, then you did nothing with the course you learned. You should not even open the course in the first place, because you're wasting your time. And one more thing I also need to point out is the fact that for whatever you're learning, the best way to learn is to build, especially in tech. There is no exams to write. There is no ethic. That was this thing called area of AOC, area of concentration. You learn, you build, you make mistakes along the way. You're fine. Mistakes are very fine. Mistakes are beautiful. Mistakes are awesome. I'll give you more of my story too as well in the next slide. But my point here on this particular topic is no matter what you are doing, no matter what you are learning, no matter how much you think, how much videos you think you've consumed or how much tutorials you've read, you should always try to build, even if it's a very small thing. Moving forward, so for after learning, it also ties into the point I was talking about now, like while you're learning, also be building. The best way in tech, in backend development, in software engineering as a whole, the best way to learn is to build. The more you build, the better for you, the more you learn actually. And also there's also this trope that like when you teach someone something, yeah, you're learning it twice. If you can get to that level where you understand something enough to teach it. In fact, don't even get to the level. Learn something and try to teach it. That's the best thing that would work for you. Learn, build, and teach. Learn, build, teach. The more you do that, the more it's going to be ingrained in your memory. Like it's going to become like second nature to you. And when you wake up, this is not sound like a lecturer speech, but when you wake up, you can just go and just say, okay, this is what, or this is how to do this, or how to not do that. Then for more after learning, I mean, it's ending now. Like there's no point in learning if you need to make money at the end of the day. So after learning, trust me, the amount of leverage you have having these skills is crazy. I know the last speaker was talking about how he works for companies in London, and it's actually true. I work for a white startup that are based in London, and I'm in Lagos currently. I've never left Lagos before in my life. Okay, I have, but like I've never like left the shores of the country multiple times before. But I work for companies and I work with people that are outside the country legitimately. Like there's no fear of, okay, they would hold me. No, you're working for them and you're like providing value to them, impacting a global audience. So tech will change your life. That's just the truth about the whole thing. In terms of what exactly can happen when you like say become a backend engineer and you're good at your craft, it's unimaginable, to be honest. Because first of all, you can start a company. He said it as well. You can just like you get to a point after you've learned, you can just go and just build out something that people will start using it. I think in the mentor section, I'll talk about some people I look up to as well, and you can also see what they have done. But generally, tech will change your life for good. It will change your life. It will change your finances. It will change your finances so hard. People will think you are doing G. That's just the truth. It's if you can have those skills and you can like make sure that you are consistent while learning and also building while learning as well, you would have the leverage to like change jobs as often as you like, although I don't advise that. But I mean, so like change jobs is basically most times when you change a job, you get like from X salary to like X salary. That's how it happens most time in the tech space. And you get to also see things in a different light too as well. So as a backend engineer, like there are some skills you would gain that are more or less like critical thinking skills you can use to start solving problems within your own vicinity and within your own surroundings. So things that you see, for example, that are like making things a little bit difficult for your own self, you solve your problems and you sell those problems, like those solutions you solved as well. So yeah, in terms of people that I look up to, the movers and shakers in the like backend field, like I said, being in tech, you have access to it, like the whole world, not necessarily just your pool. But for people that I look up to, like Prosper is like at the top, because Prosper, I'll tell you who you are. His name is Unico Developer on Twitter. Let's see if I have it here. Yeah, so Prosper, I'll tell you who you are. He is like one of the, I say, I would have opened Twitter now, but I mean, we're in Nigeria, so VPN. Well, one of the best people like I've seen working, because I had the opportunity to be around Prosper, not necessarily work with him directly, but I saw the impact he made at Andela before he left. Prosper is very good. He walks the walk and like he does everything. He is like people that you look up to, and he has built tools in the past. He runs his own company now. That's Eden Life. I think we should be aware of that. And it's true tech at the end of the day. Then there's this lady from she worked at Stripe before. She's a personal inspiration to me because Jessie Frazel is she's a lot of things. Her LinkedIn, let me see if anyone can open it. I'm not logged in yet. Let's see. Yeah, beautiful. So Jessie Frazel is someone I always consume her blogs, but she's more or less back-end focused, and she builds more tools than like front-end and tools. She worked at Stripe, not Stripe, sorry. She has worked at like the big names you can think about. She like look at it now. There's Google here, there's Microsoft here, there's GitHub there, there's HBO. Like what else? It's crazy how what you can do when you have these skills at the end of the day. Um, so more people are in tech. I am sorry that I could not list out like that much because I mean we are short on time. I have just 3 minutes left. Imagine. But in terms of resources that would be used, they will be shared with you. In terms of my personal story, I think before I move for questions, personally, I did not start out, like I said, as a software developer or an engineer in that sense. I went to school for chemical engineering at Uniben, but I did not finish as a chemical engineer. In fact, I did not finish at all. That's just the truth. Because I mean, at some point, I got to find out that like me being in chemical, you know how these things are now for our parents that, okay, you need to go to school and you're in Nigeria, so all your money. That was a like motivation for going to school back then. But like around 400 level thereabout, I found out that almost like I don't have anybody in like politics or that, not politics. I don't have anybody up there that would help me to, you know, get these jobs unless I'm ready to be applying as a graduate trainee for the next 5 years or 10 years until I can get my foot in the door for a good entry level position at the OICOI or like something else that would be like relevant to my degree. But at the end of the day, since I had the skills, because before going into university, I already was working on blogspot sites and doing stuff like that. I just decided to like start building. Like I built WordPress sites for a couple of fellowships in my school. Like that's how it all gets started at the end of the day. And Andela showed up. Andela showed up and we had the interview. Andela was not really worried about whether or not you had like a degree or thereabouts. But because these skills are skills you can acquire by yourself, these skills are things that like you can do like without anybody, nobody is like blocking your way as long as you have the will. I learned these things on my own, got into Andela, and like the rest is history. Like I said, there was Andela, there was Flutterwave, and this is all while not knowing any single body at any of the companies at all. There was nobody that opened the door for me. Okay, I mean minus the people I learned from on the internet. But there's no gatekeepers, if you will, as long as you're dedicated and make sure that you can go ahead and like make that impact you want to make. It's going to take time, that's for certain. Like nothing good comes easy at the end of the day. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of sweats and a lot of should I say tears? Let me use that word. But I promise it's going to be really, really worth it in the end because the Nigeria we are in today, it's going to be unheard of if you want to make it without having like the right skills and having the right people. But I mean, with tech, you can just have the right skills and the system will solve the rest for you. So if there are any other questions, I'm happy to take them. If there's still more time, I doubt there's time. But yeah, this is my ugly face. That's my details. I go by Kizito, and I would have shared my Twitter handle here, but it changes a lot. So I just place it behind like a redirect. So anyone you see when you click on it, that's where I am on Twitter. So yeah, thanks a lot for having me. And it's awesome seeing your faces that are not open, but it's fine.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was really, really, really like insightful. I mean, you kind of gave justice to almost everything. Like I said, this is going to just be a very super short session just to give you a roadmap on how to get started in backend. So if you have any question, please write it out in the chat box. Even if you can't answer it now, we'll make sure to give you the resources that we're going to be sharing afterward. And as usual, I did a poll and I'm going to be calling out the results now. So we see how many people have gotten answers to their questions. So the question was, do you have an idea what backend development is? And we had 100% of people answered, yay, So it's 34% said yes, 40% said no, 7% said not sure, and 20% said a little bit. So I guess that was great. That was great. So if you had if this was great, please go on Twitter to say thank you to Kizito, and don't forget to use our hashtag I4G Tech for Newbies. Yeah. And as usual, we are going to be working together with Kizito to put together the resources and roadmap that you would need to get started. And Ingressive for Good, as a non-for-profit company with a mission to train you, we are also going to be working hard to bring to you free resources and free trainings for you to get started. So the next session is product design. And yes, of course, there's going to be a reward for one person that's able to answer this question. What is the full meaning of API? First person gets a reward, and Kamal, my community advocate, is going to reach out to you to get your details. So once again, thank you so much, Kizito. We really appreciate this.
Yeah, it's awesome. I enjoyed my time here a lot. My camera was down already. Like it's
yeah, I can
at this
see
point.
that. I have to, probably change your clothes or something, but okay. Yes, I'm going to be ending this poll now, and I'm going to be starting the next one. I'm trying to see if our speaker has joined us, but in the meantime, let's enjoy the mini playlists that I have ready for you.